No,
Hello.
no.
Hi, Ollie. How are you keeping?
Good night yourself.
Oh, I'm good. And I'm so sorry for the delay.
Okay, no hassle.
Ah, brilliant. Do you have a video there? Your video says it's off.
What was it?
Yeah, it should be on the. If you put your pointer on our my face, if you can see, or around there, there's a video on the bottom left of Zoom. Um, it maybe it'll work. I think we're. Ah, there we
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I can see you. How are you keeping, man?
That's good. That's good.
Good to see another face, that you haven't seen
Yeah, yeah,
before.
yeah.
Oh, these crazy. Thanks so much for coming onto the show for this little bit of casual conversation. It was amazing when Martha sent your album over to me. It was 2 weeks ago, and I had a listen to it, and I just thought it was absolutely fabulous. And Paul reviewed it as well, and he was we were pretty much kind of struck by the sort of uniqueness of the sound and sort of um the topics and the lyrics, because it's not something very common I've heard in the Irish music scene currently. So it was a really pleasure to have that album on review for our very first pick of the week. It was the first time we were reviewing an album. So thanks so much for sending
Okay.
that in to us.
And thanks for the nice comments. We appreciate it.
How are you keeping during this mad time, man?
It's like everyone else. I think you just have to get on and accept it. I suppose the thing this time around is everyone is in the same position. It's not, in
Mm,
Ireland worldwide, so it's just a matter of. I think there are opportunities for people to maybe to take a step back and rethink
yeah.
the direction in life as well. So I think it's not all negative; it can be an opportunity as well. So,
Absolutely, I think a lot of people that I've been speaking to on this show have had the same thing. Like they were almost feeling guilty that they felt like they saw this as an opportunity of positivity where they can
yeah,
either learn about themselves or work on themselves or uncover new sort of things about themselves.
yeah. I suppose the one thing that you'd hope is that we don't go back to the rat race that we had before. That
Mm.
we learn the lessons this time around. So
Yeah, I wonder, is that up to us though as individuals, and if we can all kind of have that same mindset. It seems like a very difficult thing to do, don't you think?
it is, but I think the difference this time around is with COVID. Um, it's probably not going to be something that's going to end in 2 months' time. It's probably going to be there for a long period of time. So we're just going to
Mm.
have to change
Mm.
our behaviours, I'd imagine. But so sometimes it takes, I suppose, something like that just to shock the system. And I mean, the bigger system in terms of the world system, just for us to kind of recalibrate and
Yeah.
have a different view on how we proceed.
100%. Yeah, it seems to be like something for it to get better. It usually gets worse, right? For a little bit of
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
like
And
growing pains.
there's been events kind of down through history of similar events that changed the direction, for a
Mm,
period of time anyway.
absolutely. Yeah, we do have to kind of look back on our history actually as well, isn't it? Because they do say it tends to repeat itself. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
yeah. How did
Oh,
you? Tell me, how did you get into music? Was there like a point in your life where you were just like, oh, I want to be a musician,
I
or was it
suppose
gradual?
I came from a family that were really into sport, so I was like the odd one out in the family in the sense of I was into music and they were into sport and they were good at sport and I wasn't necessarily that good at sport, but luckily I came from a family that both my mum, dad, and brothers were very supportive of my musical journey,
Hmm.
and even though they might be kind of very keen on the sports side of things, anything I wanted to do or ever wanted to do in the music kind of point of view, they were always very supportive. And but my family were also, even though they didn't play instruments, were very musical and into music. So,
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah. Which instrument did you pick up first? Was there?
the guitar. So I was actually in school. I remember in secondary school, I had, I live in Port but
Hmm.
there was at the time a young teacher who came in and he was he probably related to us because he wasn't long, graduated as a teacher as such. And every Friday he was probably hungover after being out on a Thursday night, but he used to give me the guitar and play a few songs on a Friday. And so then that was the supposed to start of it. And then I remember he got a guitar from me in Dublin because there wasn't a music shop as such in Port at the time.
Hmm.
And so I got a guitar and suppose kind of just slowly started off. I kind of learned myself, so which is not a good thing. I would prefer if I had to get some better tips. And I started off because I probably kind of went down a way of playing. That's probably the own kind of style, but anyway, that's where I started.
That's awesome. And when did you start like getting into creating songs actually, and sort of writing your own tunes?
Yeah, well, I suppose like I was in kind of different groups where I kind of would have written some of the songs, but then there was other kind of songwriters in the group as well. And the Lost Messiahs was so I was in a group called the Martins and the Perfect Skins, but then the Lost Messiahs was I really always wanted to kind of write songs myself, and I really always wanted the opportunity to produce them because I had, I suppose, my own sense of how the sounds need to be delivered musically and production-wise. So that's why I kind of, formed the Lost Messiahs, and it allowed me that kind of creative opportunity just to do things differently.
Awesome. No, because it's like there's so many amazing sounds within that album in itself. Did you come up with all the pieces for it, and all, did you have all the ideas?
So I'm pretty lucky. I'm blessed the one since I have a recording studio, so I own the Golden X Studios in Portage. So from that point of view, I was able to spend some time in being creative and trying out different ideas. Usually wise, I deliberately kind of set out as well to kind of push myself because I'm a guitar player and I wanted to create something that wasn't necessarily all guitar sounding, and I wanted to have a kind of a more atmospheric, kind of a rich palette and I wanted to have strong kind of pulsating rhythm or drums to drive the lyrics, because the lyrics sometimes were intense, and I wanted a background that would support that intensity.
Yeah, really interesting, because some of the synth sounds are very kind of reminiscent of sort of like an 80s, perhaps even going back like even 70s, I suppose, sort of tones.
Because there's some kind of different, there's moves and different kind of. I got there's a chap that helps me out in the studio, is an engineer in the studio, so he contributed to some of the keyboard parts, and then other ones were my own kind of doodles on the keyboard. So I'm not a piano player, but I like just to experiment myself. I think sometimes I'm not really into piano players that are very prolific in terms of playing. I like someone that kind of just tries something different. The guitar, so just to push themselves a bit. Come up with something new, or rather than just playing some standard, piano piece.
Yeah, sure. You can definitely hear it. I mean, it's so it really adds to the textures within the songs. And I really enjoy that, as being a huge fan of sort of 70s kind of prog, essentially. So it was really nice to hear that kind of those moogie sounds, and there's a little bit sense of nostalgia almost listening to some of your songs. What's can you tell me, like, is there a singular sort of concept behind, obviously, maybe it's sort of self-explanatory, but Deconstruction of the Mind, the album itself, did that come about of like a singular sort of idea, or did it just kind of, was it a lot of pieces that just started gradually building over time, or how did it? I've never done an album, I guess, so it's always fascinating to know like how it's a lot of work, I guess.
Well, I didn't start out like a concept album, but I did deliberately look at, I suppose, using the experience of writing the album as being like a creative journey, kind of a journey inwards myself. So a lot of the lyrics the story was told through kind of metaphors of driving or, being on a journey, but the journey was a journey within to look at, I suppose, very raw life, and then how we were evolving, and what you wanted to leave behind and what you wanted to take on board in terms of the next phase of your journey, So from that point of view, Deconstruction of the Mind was around maybe there's lots of things that we inherit over time, and they influence how we, look at the future, and some of them maybe our lens is kind of tainted. So there's an attempt to kind of clear all that and to explore, maybe a new horizon of getting rid of any kind of negativity or anything that was kind of pulling you back, and just being free to explore whatever you wanted to do in the future. So it was a very enriching, and I have to say, a very positive experience, and the whole album, at the end of it, I just kind of felt that it was one of those fantastic experiences. You know?
Did you find like that process sort of helped you kind of deconstruct your own mind?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, because I think really that when you're dealing with something in the abstract around lyrics or writing something, um, it helps. It's easier to kind of approach things in an abstract way rather than kind of necessarily just facing straight your own situations.
Mm,
So I kind of found that really great. And then sometimes there are maybe connections that you make around creativity that you're not sure where it actually comes out of, or where the words come out of, or what actually happens in that creative moment. But there's a collection of ideas that kind of come together. If you're lucky enough and you're in the right zone at the right time and you allow that kind of vibration to come in, so all you have to do is kind of stand back and let it in.
yeah.
And then that's where it all evolves. So some of the songs I would have written kind of acoustic guitar, but then when I got into the studio, even the lyrical content would have changed, or some of the melodies I would have changed because of, when I was kind of working through them in the studio, I kind of felt that maybe, I could alter or kind of change some of them, and I'm happy with, sometimes you change them because when you're in the studio and you have the time, you can overproduce, but I was kind of happy with what I'd done on the way I produced.
It's amazing because it can, I suppose it's a bit of it can be an arduous process, right? From trying to find that balance of, not trying not to overproduce and try to keep it sort of simplistic, but not too simple, and trying to find that balance with everything. And then lyrics might change, ideas might change, all this kind of thing. Did you have any songs that have been originally were meant to be on the album that have sort of not made it? And
yeah, no, I started out with about 24 songs. So, but I actually have the next album almost recorded. So at the time I was recording the album, I had a plan of recording two to one time. So that when I had one out, I'd have the second one almost in the oven ready to go as well.
Jeez, it's a lot of work. So wow. Fair play to you.
So I have the successor kind of already almost kind of written, and some a lot of it recorded as well. So, but what actually happens sometimes is when you're in the studio, when you get listening to a track maybe too often times, I kind of find from a guitar player, you might have played an original lick or a chord progression, but then when you hear it too often, you're trying to get fed up with it and you go into changing something that maybe the original piece was the way it should be, and you're inclined to over change things. So I've kind of learned that sometimes just leave what's well enough alone, and not to go in and do too much kind of amending or tweaking.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's great because you have no, like, you don't feel that pressure of time, I suppose, right? When you're recording.
Yeah. Like, I'm really lucky because if you're in a studio where you're on the clock, and then you have other musicians that equally kind of had other commitments, I find that challenging. Is that because I'm not too sure if I could write that kind of pressurized piece, because the ideas that kind of flow from allowing things to evolve, I think it's fantastic if you do under the clock and have to have certain things done by a certain time. Now, maybe there are benefits as well because it keeps you having to be concise.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. It depends on maybe it depends on the person, even how one prefers to operate, right? Some people work better under pressure or under a time constraint, or disciplined. But art and creation, I suppose, it's a weird balance, isn't it? To find like, can you discipline art, or should you, or put pressure on the creation process? Is that a natural thing, I wonder?
No, I from my experience and just from seeing other artists in the studio, I think that what works well is to allow a process to happen kind of organically. Where if you go in with a very structured and almost business-like approach to it, but now you do need a certain amount of that to get the job done, because it can't go on forever. But at the same time, I think you just need to allow an opportunity to allow situations to evolve, either the lyrics or the music, because oftentimes you get stuck in the process, and then there's a little key or a little something that you play, or you go for a cup of coffee and come back, and you just might pick up the guitar and you just play something, you don't know where it came from, but that's the unlocking of that little creative piece for you. And then once you get that piece unlocked, you're off and you have it. It's a solution found.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? How it works. You can't. It's hard to force it, um, but when you pull away from it, right? It's
Yeah.
sometimes the I don't know what it is. Is it it's a mindset or where the mind is in the natural state of self? Perhaps that's where is the most
I
where
think so. Yeah, I think there's probably an element of with, kind of really a spiritual connection, because I think when you kind of when you allow yourself to be kind of I suppose open to creativity, you're probably getting an influence into the whole universe, into a wider kind of consciousness, if you know what I mean. So I think if you allow yourself to remain open to that, then any ideas can flow in.
mm,
And I suppose the challenge as well as musical wise is that you're not repeating something that was done 4,000 times already by someone else, so when you're trying to create something that's original
mm.
and not trying to copy, that can be a challenge as well, because you make up loads of kind of really good things, and then you listen to it for a day and you say, well, that sounds like someone else.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I was speaking with Joey Gavin earlier on. He was a first guest of mine, a good friend, and he
Yeah,
liked to. His process was he loved to like isolate himself, for weeks. You know, just him and the guitar, and force himself in that position of sort of creation. You know, but then he would find sometimes that he wasn't able to. You know, it wasn't always a winner. You know, it didn't
yeah,
always
yeah.
work for him. Do you have
Yeah.
any sort of like processes, like physical, tangible things like that? You don't have to that you'd like to share with some of our viewers, perhaps that might be in a creative rut or anything like that that they could sort of
Yeah,
implement.
well, I tell you what I kind of find unusual is that when it's like trying to get in the kitchen and trying to cook something up, and I'm actually in the process of something that's actually happening creatively. I nearly get kind of what's it, taken over by it. So I'm just completely locked into it. So sometimes that can be an element of frustration, because you know that the creativity is coming and you want to resolve the situation and give birth to your new creativity, but sometimes that can be a bit slow, so you're kind of working through it. So I don't
Mm,
know, perhaps that may not be the best for people around you, because you're in that zone
mm,
trying to let that evolve kind of naturally. But what I normally do is to put myself in the position of just taking up the guitar and either just strumming and just see where things go.
mm,
So rather than saying I'm going to play the song today and here it is, I'm going to create this song about this. I just what seems to work for me is, like, when I come up with an idea on the guitar,
mm,
and the initial lyrics that come into my head when I come up with a piece of guitar, I never really change that idea.
mm.
But when I do go back and change the idea for the song, it doesn't really work out. So
Oh well,
whatever kind of vibration comes in at the time, when I get the guitar, or kind of, the idea, the
yeah.
music idea, and whatever kind of idea for the song that comes at that time, that always seems to work for me. That I keep the two of them together.
Yeah, so it's about sticking to the original sort of idea that comes to you naturally, right?
Yeah, yeah, whatever comes at that time, it just seems to be the two, both the lyrics
Mm,
and the idea and the music together. Now, you might make some kind of slight changes either to the lyrics or
mm.
as to how the music evolves, but the general, like, idea for the song, that if you keep that together, it's like a kind of a vibration that comes together. It
Mm.
works better for me that way.
No, it's amazing. No, thanks for sharing a little bit of that insight as well, because I guess every artist sort of has. Maybe it's like trying to remove the thought process, even, isn't it? It's just like removing the left side of the brain, removing the logical sort of thought process,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
trying to just say you're not doing anything. You're just living in the moment. You have an instrument in front of you, and you're just doing, right.
yeah, yeah,
So I guess a lot of people would sort of try to trick your brain into being in that sort of mode is maybe the
yeah,
most difficult part, right? Um,
yeah, absolutely.
do you want to? Would you like to play a song for us? There's no pressure. I can either play a song from one of your videos, or if you'd like to play a tune.
I didn't have a guitar. I wasn't expecting that.
No problem.
So if you want to play a track from the album,
Yeah, I'd love to. I mightn't have mentioned that to the guy. It's not important actually at all. It's totally up to yourself. I loved your video for Deconstruction of the Mind. I thought it was
oh yeah,
fantastic.
yeah,
Would
yeah,
you?
yeah.
Would I? Is it because you have three music videos actually from that album?
Yeah,
Um,
the deconstruction of the mind. that particular kind of song is probably sums up the whole kind of album in a way, you know. So the some of our other videos, I suppose, in terms of, I actually love writing the storyboards for videos, and I love my imagination goes a bit wild, right? Because it gives you the opportunity to write a storyboard for a video, but it also gives you the opportunity to put people into the videos that wouldn't normally be in their normal lives be in those kind of roles. And so what I normally do is don't tell the people until maybe 5 minutes before they're going to act out their role what it is that I'm asking them to do, because to be all either people that I know are friends of mine or not, they're not recognized actors or whatever. But when you put people into that kind of position that they're not getting too worked up about it or thinking about it too much, they just act it out. I always kind of find great enjoyment out of seeing people just naturally get into a role really quick. So the deconstruction of the mind, near where we live here, there's a gorgeous landscape. It's a bog, and it's Abbey Leaks, which is here, but it's a beautiful kind of barren landscape. And I always kind of felt when I got out there, there's a great connection to nature, and I always wanted to just have that. When I heard that song in my head, and when I started recording it, the one thing I wanted to do was to do a video in that kind of landscape for the song. We shot 2 videos in the one day, and that didn't have to be that way video, and that one was shot. The first one was shot around 6 o'clock in the morning in that bog, which is Deconstruction of the Mind, which was about an hour and a half, and then the second one was shot in a different location with lots of participants.
The second one was Big Mistake. Was it this one that was?
The second one didn't have to be that way. So Big Mistake was our first.
That's your first video.
The first video I had was Lights Out, which was it's kind of a slow song, kind of quarter set kind of feel to it. So it's kind of Peaky Blinders kind of a video feel to it.
Okay, awesome. I think I've seen that. I think I've seen that one. I mean, I watched all. I think I went through your whole YouTube channel, and so I'll have to. I think we'll play 2. But no, they're really well produced. Like really well produced videos, and the story is lovely. It's simplistic, but powerful as well. You know, and the symbology you have in a little bit of that symbology as well is lovely. But I'll let people.
Yeah, I'd have to thank. I'd have to thank because there's Thomas Miles from Avalanche Media. Because he shot the video, so even though I would have covered the storyboard, we kind of really work well together because he kind of gets my ideas straight away. So with some people you can just make a connection, and if you're trying to explain what you want to deliver, he gets the storyboard quickly, and he can just he can deliver on film or on video with what the idea that you had in your head. So it's always good.
No, it's amazing when you can click with somebody on an artistic level and there's no barriers. That's an amazing thing. You can create something superiorly magical when you can work with another being. Yeah, awesome.
It's a good thing I think as well that music and video, images with music can be very strong. So I think if you can get the right images and the right flow of a video with music, the two can really work well together.
Yeah, I had chills watching this video and listening to the song in combination. I thought it was really powerful. I'm going to play it to our viewers. So yeah, amazing. So The Lost Messiahs, and this is Deconstruction of the Mind, guys.
Okay.
In the silence of the night, you can hear the sirens call. In the shadow of the morn, there's a foghorn blowing. Don't go falling down now. Don't go falling down now. Something big.
Absolutely amazing. So that's the Lost Messiahs with Deconstruction of the Mind, and that's the music video from the album Deconstruction of the Mind, and it's one of four videos from that. It's three videos from the album, right? Three music videos you did.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. It's a lot of I'd say it's. How did you choose to? Okay, I guess Deconstruction of the Mind. There was probably a plan already to make a music video for that one in advance. Would there have been, or is it difficult? Was it difficult to choose which one to do a music video for?
No, I think the one that I really wanted to start with was Lights Out, because I always wanted to do that kind of Peaky Blinders kind of type of video, and. From the time that kind of song started being written, I just had that concept in my head for a video that was playing around as well. So, and then with the others, what I tried to do then was to do a trilogy, which was Lights Out had a start of a story, Big Mistake, had a follow on from the story, and Didn't Have to Be That Way was well, after all of the kind of violence that ensued. It didn't have to be that way. And then Deconstruction of the Mind was where it gets down to be more in touch with nature and be more in touch with, enlightenment and whatever. So that was the kind of the plan around the four videos.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, no, really, really absolutely amazing. I'll play one more video at the end as well. Which one I would love to do. Do you have anything you're missing while being in, or is this absolutely no problem for yourself, the whole quarantine thing, because everybody's sort of reacting differently, and how is it like?
The thing that we're missing, because we were planning to go to America.
Of course.
So in America, we had really fantastic dates in New York and in New Jersey, Connecticut, and all of them venues. So it's disappointing in the sense we'd worked hard to get out of those dates, and we had a lot of things lined up in the States around trying to promote everything, but at the same time we have a really kind of planned, hopefully, to go ahead in October. All of the venues that we had booked are rebooked for October. So I suppose it's an evolving situation, so I'm not too sure how it's all going to work out even in October, but we're hoping to go in October. And I suppose with the band members, like I'm blessed at the moment that the people that are in the band, Martha is on drums, who's brilliant on the drums. James O'Connor, who's an artist in his own right, who's doing the vocals, because I don't sing. Then we have David Bow on keys and Ian Duff on bass. So when we get together, it's like, I suppose any band will tell you, but when we get together, there's a kind of a certain energy that arises when we play live. There's nothing as good as just playing those songs live. Good thing about the songs as well is that we can repeat what we have in the album live, so it's not just a lot of need for backup tracks. We just play everything live, and it's similar to what's been here on the record.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's actually a great way to do it. I mean, it's using less technology, right, in a way, and you're less reliant on technology in a live situation, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. What was a kind of a memorable gig looking back for you guys? Is there anything that stood out for you that was just like, wow?
Yeah, well, probably the best gig that we've had, I suppose, like as a band that's living in Portage, oftentimes it's frustrating in terms of trying to break into the music scene, because there's probably your bands that are at a certain level that get a lot of the airplay, get a lot of the media attention, and get a lot of TV and whatever. So when you're a step below that, then it's kind of difficult to break in there. So oftentimes that can be frustrating, and you might be frustrating yourself in terms of trying to break in or to get airplay. So last year what we decided to do just for myself was to rather than moaning about what was going on, we decided just to set up a festival ourselves and call it Summers Festival. So it was Summers Music and Arts Festival. But at that festival, we actually launched the album at the festival. So I think everyone in the band would say, because the venue was in an old mall house in Strawberry, where the Electric Picnic takes place.
Oh, wow.
just across the road from it, but like it's just one of the unique kind of venue, and
Yeah.
there was a fantastic kind of full crowd, and just one of those moments that Ollie was forever. It was just everything happened right on the night, so
Amazing.
that's the most memorable gig here.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Fair play to you, yeah, for taking over the reins, I guess, and cutting out the middleman as well, isn't it? Sometimes you just have to do that, right?
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, because sometimes like if things aren't working out for you, rather than just bemoaning the fact, I think you just have to try and make it happen for yourself.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. It's a great way to live. Like, there's no restriction in that way, and there's no benefit blaming a system or blaming a situation when when you have your self control to change it or manipulate it or to move around it. It's awesome. That's great. Would you? Yeah. Sorry. Would you do it again? Do you think you do it again? Would it be a yearly thing or something like that? Obviously not this year, but
we're not going to do it this year now because of but I think we would. But so yeah, I think I'd like. I always like to kind of just keep doing something different. So while we done, that was the music arts, and it was a celebration of everything kind of local in terms of local. Traders and local musicians and people that were all doing original music and that. So again, I think there's something maybe just kind of move a bit sideways, do something kind of slightly different. But yeah, I've got a great buzz out of it.
Amazing.
So
it's a great buzz, yeah. No,
a lot of hard work.
Yeah. Hey, if you need any help with that as well, I'd love to give you a hand running like a little festival or something like that. I dabble in a little bit of promotion and running gigs myself, and it's a lot of fun. Like, I absolutely love it. So it's always nice. Yeah, it's nice working with other people as well.
And just to say, in case I don't say it before the end, is I really appreciate the fact that you give us this time, because with bands like ourselves, it's kind of difficult enough to get kind of interviews like this. So so we genuinely really appreciate it. So
it's my absolute pleasure, Ollie. Thanks so much for coming on and sharing a bit of yourself and your band and your project. What I wanted to say is I would love to have you on, like, when the phases start to come into play, when the big bosses tell us we're allowed to venture outwards in groups and stuff. I would love to do like a rehearsal studio sort of situation where bands can perform. We do an interview and bands can perform, and do a kind of a podcast video thing as well. Would be lovely. So I'd love to have you. Yeah, I'd love to have you on for sure, like as a group, and obviously as well, I have some connections in Dublin as well for gigs as well. I think you're actually really fantastic. Yeah, I think you're really onto an idea.
It'd be great to have those connections, because we played them in Wheeling some time ago. But I suppose the difficulty is just trying to break into a new audience. So, like, I think most people that come to our gigs and hear us, everyone leaves, with a kind of a good feeling around the band. But then it's just trying to get the name out there, just to get new fans and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, nothing beats sort of physically experiencing a band, right? So you want to kind of go where the people are, and that's where you get the real fans, right? As opposed to somebody, digitally, it's harder to keep them. Although you've got a fan here now, brother, and you've got you got me and you got Paul, and I'm sure you got a lot of viewers right now that are into the music. So we're gonna get there slowly but surely. It's a long process, isn't it? It's like, you have you have the creativity down, you have the recording down, you have the well thought out and genuine ideas of expression, coming from yourself, and musically and video wise, right? The content's great, I have to say, like, it really is. And it's just, then there's the next step, isn't it? It's the marketing, it's the business, it's the all this kind of stuff, that's sort of and obviously record labels don't seem to really work as they used to, right?
No, I suppose, like, I just even know from the recording studios, days when someone comes in with a big check and has big money to do a recording session, are kind of long gone. So I think most people are kind of independent artists now to pay for it themselves, and I suppose then if they're successful, the big boys come in and they want a part of the slice of the cake at that stage. But maybe that's kind of good as well, because if something does happen, maybe you're more in control of things yourself. Where in the past, maybe people kind of signed over, rights to different things and probably got excited about six-figure sums being put in front of them, checkbooks and things, and it's easy to happen. But anyway, at the end of the day, like it's around what you want the success as well. Because to be honest with you, success for us will be just around doing what we're doing, create music, and hopefully people enjoying it. So there's just that success for us. Success doesn't have to be having a million followers on Instagram or whatever. It's just being contented in what you do.
Love it. Yeah, no, absolutely. Success is what it means to you, and it's really just about doing, right? Just doing something with frequently with your time. So whatever one likes to do frequently with their time and can survive and brings them joy and perhaps brings other people joy too, which would be lovely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, amazing. Ollie, thank you so much for the conversation today, man.
Thank you very much. It was enjoyable and really enjoyed it. Thanks, I appreciate it.
Yeah, great to meet you and get to know you. So now we're connected. So it's great.
Yeah.
And now we can wait for all this to blow over, and then we can do a bit of work together as well. Because I'd love to see you live. I definitely would love to see you live. Genuinely would love to see you guys perform live. So, please God, your tour happens, and we'll maybe get you into Dublin or something. I'd love to get you into a venue or something here. It would be nice.
I love it. Yeah.
Great. Which I want to leave the guys on a video. Which one shall we give them? What do you think, or should I make a decision? What do you reckon?
I'll let you make a decision there.
Am I going to pick it? Okay, great. I was hoping you'd say that. I was kind of hinting it in there. I was like, okay, let me choose.
Just one last thing as well, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
There's something that just like to get a hard copy version of the album. There's still people out there that like to do it. I'll just see if to do on our website, thelostmessiahs.com. You can get a lot of the information, the band around gigs and everything, but also you can go in there and you can purchase the album, and we will send the album or t-shirts, whatever, out to you. So if you just log on and put your details in there, and then we will send out a hard copy of the album or t-shirts, whatever.
Amazing. Love it. Yeah, absolutely great. I'm going to direct people towards your website, and when I re-release this video as well, I'm going to put the links, by the way, guys, are in the description below. So the Lost Messiahs.com.
Messiahs.com.
Yeah.
.com,
Excellent. All right, Ollie, listen,
okay.
Enjoy the isolation, brother, and absolute pleasure chatting to you. And please God, we chat to each other physically one day as well.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Thanks very much.
God bless.
Bye-bye.
Take it easy, man. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, so that was Lost Messiahs. Let me see. My mic is quite loud there. Is it? Let me see. Is that okay? Yeah, it seems to be okay. It was peaking there for a moment. So I hope I didn't damage your ears there. I'm not too sure what happened there, but yeah, Lost Messiahs, Lights Out. What a absolutely just a really good band. And Ollie Plunkett, I spoke to Ollie Plunkett there, who is the guitarist and writer for all of the songs. A very interesting guy, and yeah, just check out that band.